everyone. I wanted to pop in tonight and give you a little walkthrough of all of the cards that we are going to do for our August card club. I'm so excited that all of you have joined me. We're using the Circle Saying stamp set, and we're going to be making 4 different cards. You'll get to do 2 of each, and I can't wait to show you all the fun tips. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so our stamp set this month was the Circle Saying set. So let me just pull it out from here. This is what it looks like. You can use this one, or if you have different similar stamps at home, feel free to grab those. And this video is intended for the people who signed up for my August 2023 card club. Each month in card club, you pay me a set fee. Right now it's $30. And you get everything you need to make 8 different cards using the featured stamp set or a stamp set of your choice. And I always include products with it. So this month I included some of our Inked Botanicals paper. So cute. This is a really fun paper pack. So you can follow the cutting guide and go ahead and cut the pieces you need from this, but you'll have a bunch left over as well. And then other things that you are going to use to make these cards: a blender pen, which I've included for you in your package, so pull that out. Some of our sparkle gems, this is half a pack, and so we'll use this to make the cards. And then some of this really nice vanilla and gold ribbon. We'll be using this on the cards too. So you'll have lots left over, but keep this handy for making the cards. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. I'm going to just walk you through making 1 card. And if you're doing the club, you'll get to, of course, make 2. So here are all of the pieces that you'll have. And you're going to want to start by doing the stamping. So let's grab Okay, so we've got Calypso Coral. You can use any black ink pad for this card. And then a couple of stamps. So you've got a little bit of stamping to start with. We'll open up the Calypso Coral and take this cute little flower stamp. And you're just going to stamp it on the circle image close to the edge. So the edge kind of guides you. The edge of the stamp and the edge of the paper will line up. Give it a nice pressure. There's that. And then on the corner of the envelope, you'll also want to stamp over there too. So again, get a nice inking, and then we'll come right over here. I kind of kept it mostly on the envelope, but let it float off just a little bit too. There's my envelope. And then I'll keep this handy. We're going to be using it again. No, let's see. These are the other 2. So we're going to do a little bit of coloring with those 2 colors, the Crush Korean Lost Lagoon. But let's first stamp our greetings with a black ink. So it's going to go on this circle as well, so kind of position where you like the flowers to be, and then stamp the thank you accordingly. And I'm going to set this aside to dry a little bit while I do some assembling. This piece right here is Petal Pink, and it's been embossed with the Timeless Worn folder, I think that's what it's called. And anytime I'm gluing down anything that's got the embossing on it, I like to use mini glue dots to do that. So I'm just going to take like 4 of them off my little strip here. And 1 more over here too. Okay, so 1 in each corner, and it gets lined up on this black piece, which is just a little 1/8 of an inch bigger than the other one, and so it's a tiny, tiny black frame that you get around this light pink layer. It's quite a pretty dramatic effect. Now I'll use some Seal Plus to do a nice row. I've got a thick white cardstock base. Go center this on the front. This card design gives you a little more of a gap on the sides than it does on top and bottom, which creates an elongated look. It's really pretty. And then you'll have 2 pieces of designer paper, which are going to go centered on the front but offset, one a little higher and one a little lower. And I'm going to use glue dots to do those as well. So right here. And then right next to it, there are probably several papers in the pack that would have looked pretty, so you can experiment with that if you want to. Just right here. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, and now this month for our card club, I wanted to show you a fun little technique. And so I included this blender pen so that we could learn a little bit of a coloring technique. So we're just going to dabble a tiny bit for this first card. I'm opening up my Crushed Curry and my Lost Lagoon ink pad. And I'm using this blender pen, which is just a marker. It's wet on both ends, but it has no color to it. So I can actually pick up color right off the ink pad and then draw with it. When I very first tap the ink pad, it's quite dark, so I'm going to get a little bit of it off, and then I have a nice light yellow. I can come right here and just tap my flower centers. I'll get just a little more until I've got a little yellow in each of the flower centers, and I'll do the same on my envelope. So this is just kind of a fun little, really cheap way to do a little bit of color, because you'll often already have some of these ink pad colors to play with. So all you need is a blender pen to be able to do some fun watercoloring techniques. So you can see that I'm just coloring on my scratch paper until the tip runs clean, and then I can dip right into a new color. So I'm tapping into my Lost Lagoon ink and getting a little of the excess off, and just coloring in these leaves. They're just going to have a slightly kind of a sage green tinge to them, which ends up looking really pretty on this image. Just like that. Tap again, get a little extra off, and come right over to my card front. Okay. And just kind of a loose, messy coloring job just right in each of those leaf spaces. I'm coloring until the extra ink is gone off my tip, and then I can put this marker away to use another time. Okay, so let's flip this over and put some dimensionals on the back. Probably want 4 of these. Okay. And then we'll just place this right here. Cute. Okay, let's do a little bit of finishing on this card. I've got my little gems here. Open up the pack. Hi, Kayleen. I see that you're watching. Let's get these out. Okay, and I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pick up just a few of these. So I'll grab kind of a bigger black one for kind of right up here, and then a couple of the smaller black ones down here. Okay, and then to finish this card off, I also want to use some of our ribbon. And so this card uses 9 inches of ribbon. Remember, you're making 2 of each of these. So cut 9 inches of ribbon, and then you're going to take your ribbon scissors and you're cutting up the center of the ribbon in order to make a thinner ribbon, and you'll get 2 for the price of 1 here. So kind of hold and trim all the way up the center. The center of this is kind of a satiny, like a filmy sort of a texture, and so it doesn't even matter if you get it perfect because you can't really see that center. Okay. And then you're just going to hold this in your hands and tie a bow. So you'll do a loop on one side. This is kind of hanging longer. We'll wrap around up through the center and just like this. Your bow might look super wonky at the beginning, but that's okay. You can adjust it. We're going to pull the tails, and we can pull on the loops until we like it, just until we get that ribbon looking really cute. And then the other thing that's nice, I call this an air bow, when you just kind of tie it in the air, and now I'm going to stick it to my project. You can look at both sides and decide, do I like it this way or do I like it this way? And then just use a little glue dot and pick it up right on the back of the knot there. And then I just put it kind of down here in the corner. You can trim these off to a good length for your card. And this one is ready to go. That is card number 1. Okay. Get all my stuff switched. Here's my packet for card number 2. And on this one, you will be cutting a little bit of the yellow polka dotted paper. This is a 3x3 square. Of course, you're making 2 of these cards, so you'll have 2 of everything. Let's grab this, and then the envelope. So pretty much everything that's white, and we're going to stamp those with our Stays On ink. I see Elizabeth watching. Hello. Hope you guys are having a good night. Okay, so let's ink up our Celebrate. This one says Celebrate, Celebrate, Celebrate all around, and I'm using my Stays On ink. I always like to practice on my scratch paper and make sure I like how it's stamping. I like how inky the stamp is. I know how much pressure the stamp needs. And then I'll go right on this circle. Also, I'll come over here to the corner of the envelope, make sure I've got the lower left corner. And I'm lining this up. It's photopolymer, so it's easy to see. I'm just catching the word Celebrate with a dot on each side on my envelope. So I've got Celebrate, ... Cute. Okay. Now I also want a cupcake. We'll stamp that on this little square. And, oh, I love that image. It's very cute. And then the word Today, this is your little piece that Today goes on. Actually, it needs to come from behind the circle, so you don't want it too close to the left. But you're going to trim this off at a slant, so you don't want it too close to the right either. Just kind of center-ish, maybe a little more to the right. Okay, now let's put this away. Whoops. My little cover to help my Stays On stay nice. Okay, for the moment I'm going to have all these little pieces drying. So let's let those go aside and dry. Let's come over to our card and see what we can do about assembling it. Okay, so here's a little piece of the patterned vellum that came in the card kit. It's little diagonal stripes. And then the card base is boho blue. I'm going to glue it right about centered here and close to the bottom. And just make sure you can see the stripes. You can see them better on one side. At least I thought you could. Maybe it's the same on both sides. Maybe I made that up. Okay, but I only want to put glue like right about here because the rest of this is going to show. I don't want any adhesive showing. So I just rolled a little bit of Seal Plus right there. This is one of the many reasons that I love Seal Plus the most because it always, even just a little bit, will hold really, really well. So see, it's obvious where that is holding, but I'm about to cover that up, so it's okay. All right, let's layer these guys. I had stampers over last night making these projects. I saw someone put it together with the paper this way. That's also really cute. So for my sample, I did it this way with the yellow up. And if you know me, you know my favorite color is yellow. Gotta have all the cute yellow. More Seal Plus. And this is going to be centered just kind of right here. So you see the stripes around this bottom edge. Okay. All right. Now this little piece of blue, I don't know how well you can tell in the video, but this is a shimmer navy, and this is from the soft shimmer paper. We've been using it each month almost on different cards. So this time we're using the navy, and one of the other cards has the Lost Lagoon, but this is really a beautiful paper pack. I'm just going to put this sparkly circle right in the center of the Celebrate, so I get that look. And then let's try our cool little technique on the cupcake, okay? So I'm going to open up Calypso Coral and Crushed Curry again. And we'll do a little stepped up technique this time. So I'm going to tap into my yellow, and then I'm going to kind of swirl across each of these layers. So I got kind of darker bit of yellow at the top there, and I still want to add a little more yellow at the bottom. So I've got kind of the darkest at the tops of my swirls, and then it gets lighter. Go a little bit here. And this is really fun. I mean, you can do this however you want and play with coloring these. Did a little crushed curry. This looks like a nice vanilla buttercream frosting. Yum. Okay. And then for my cupcake paper, I'm going to use the Calypso Coral. I don't want it to be too crazy dark, so I'm going to tap in here, get a little my orange, lighten it up by writing here, and then I'm going to go in straight strokes downward like that to get, you know how these are kind of ridged back and forth. So I wanted some darker lines, and then I'll let some lighter Calypso be in between. So just kind of color now. And get some all around. Okay, so have fun with this. It's like, you can be pretty simple or you can get a little bit artistic. It was fun to watch everyone when I was in the in-person class kind of playing with this and getting different levels of color. No two turned out exactly the same. Oh, that looks cute. Okay, so now I'll always color on my scratch paper till I run out of color and put my lid back on. Oh, I see Melody is watching. Melody already came and did the cards, so now she's going to see the tutorial too, which is super fun. Let's set these guys aside. And I'm going to grab my paper snips and cut this cupcake out. I don't need to do a crazy precise job, and I do want it to have a white edge around it. I always leave a white edge because it's more forgiving. Like, if you try to cut it right along the line, that's kind of hard to get it perfect. But if you're just, you know, leaving space next to the line, It definitely varies, but the eye doesn't notice that. Okay, so we'll just go down to here, and then kind of swoop around the bottom. And then I'll use a couple of dimensionals. Whoops. To put my cupcake on the front of the little sparkle paper. Now, I want the celebrate to be upward, just like this at the top, with the cupcake below. So I put it like that. And then I will use Seal Plus to layer this circle on. But let's go ahead and get the today on here. So trim. Just with your paper snips, come to this today and just do a little slanted edge, kind of like that. It doesn't matter if it's slanted a lot or a little, and then just kind of line it up so it kind of comes from behind your cupcake piece. Can you see how I'm doing that? So before I stick it on, I'm deciding how I want this layered. And I think I'll use a glue dot to put this on because that'll help me make sure for sure that it stays right behind here where I wanted it. So today, celebrate. Something like that. Okay, so I already had a bit of Seal Plus. Let's add some to this. And then we come over to our project. This should be centered-ish. Something like that. Okay, and then to finish this one off, I'll add a few of our pretty little silvery gems. My putty got into a funny chunk there, so let's get some new. So let's put a couple of gems up here, maybe one down here, and then I want one right on my cupcake. Okay, this one is lost to me. I stuck it to my mat on accident. All right, and that is card number 2. What do you guys think? I hope you love it. Let's move that one aside and pull in my little kit here for card number 3. Excuse me. Got my drink handy, of course. Get a little slurp. This one uses just a little bit of Tombow multi-liquid glue. You don't have to use that, but if you have it and like using that, then go for it. So I've got Smile because you're awesome, sending you. I've got my little sunshine rays and the 2 ink pads, Crushed Curry and Shaded Spruce. So let's start with Shaded Spruce. And put these pieces aside. Again, with stamping on the white ones. This one has the cool texture on it. Okay, let's start with this one. This one goes inside the card, but I want to stamp it first so it has plenty of time to dry. Making sure I like how it stamps. The front of the card is going to say Smile, and so we'll let the inside say, because you're awesome. And I also want my cute little sunshine rays. So I'll use my Crushed Curry. Put some here, some here. And one of these cute little strips, I've got 2 of them. One goes on the inside of the card right down here. So this finishes that inside piece, but I still want it to have time to dry, so I'll tuck it right up here. And so let's do some more of these other pieces. Put this aside. Bring my green back. So sending you a smile. Put sending you a on here. We will put smile on this little piece. This is almost like a puzzle. Like, surprise, see how this is going to come together. And then this is my envelope. I'm going bottom left corner. Say smile. Okay, so that should be all my stamping. This card is really a cool layout. This is called a bookbinding card, and it's a little bit different. So let's take a look at how the pieces go while this dries. So the card base is 11 by 4 1/4. It's been scored at 5 1/2, so I've got it folded in half there. But it's also been scored at 6 1/2, so I'm able to fold it back this way. Okay, so I now have this little part which is going to get glued shut, and the card will just open and shut like this, which makes it more like a little binded book. But before I do that, I'm going to tie a ribbon inside the space. So I think the instructions say 15 inches of ribbon. And so we'll cut a 15-inch ribbon piece, and then we'll bring it through the inside here. I want it to go kind of up top. Tie a square knot. So I just went right over left. I'm holding it with my middle finger while I go left over right and let it pull to a nice pretty little knot. And then I'll trim these. So this looks all amazing. Okay, and now I want this to be glued shut, and that ribbon will be trapped inside. So again, Seal Plus is wonderful for this, and I'm going to roll some here and some toward the inner edge. So I've got plenty of adhesive in there. It's going to hold really well. Get that closed up. You could even use your bone folder to burnish that and kind of finish it off so it's closed. And then your card opens like this. Isn't that fun? So the front layer has this cool texture that is from one of our background dies. I think it's just called Beautiful Backgrounds. I might not have that right though. This should be embossed, well, embossed. It has cut like a little hash line. It's almost like an embossed layer. And it should be a little higher on one edge. You want it closer to the top to show, because this bottom's going to be covered up, and you want as much of your, these make me think of wind, so you want that wind to show. And because this is embossed, I don't want to glue it too flat down and like smash it down. So I'm going to let it have a little freedom by putting glue dots in the four corners. And I always do this if there's any kind of texture to be had on the layer. So now this basically just gets framed up. It's only barely bigger than the card front space. So it goes just like this. And then of course we have excuse me, our little finished piece that we've already prepped for right here. Go ahead and put that one in. Just like this. Oh, looks amazing. Okay, and then the card front has several different pieces that we're going to layer on here together. Let's start with the shaded spruce strip of cardstock, which is exactly the length of this one. So it's going to go across the front there, not all the way to the bottom of the lemon lolly layer, but close. So I've left just a little like 1/4 inch there, and then my strip. And then on top of that, we've got our little flower piece, and this is just a little smaller. And so what I'm going to do here is use a few, I'm going to use a few glue dots across the top. So let me show you how I did this. 1, 2, and 3. and they're only on this very top edge, so there's no glue down here. And now when I come onto this piece, the glue dots are all holding on to the lemon lolly layer up higher here, and that allows this piece to lay flat and not be like leaning on a bridge over the edge of this green layer. I'm going to do the same thing with the smile layer. This is even shorter still. We'll go 1, 2, and 3. And that's just kind of a way to help your card sit nicely. This time I'm going to bump it over this way. Something like this. Okay, so there's my layers ready to go. And this is going to get trimmed out. So again, just hold your scissors. If you're right-handed, hold them in your right hand. Left, hold them in your left hand. But your non-cutting hand is doing all of the movement. The scissor hand doesn't really move at all. It's the left hand for me that just moves this paper and helps me get a nice edge. I also always keep the paper kind of in the center of the scissors, like about halfway up the blade, because you just have more control right there in that space. So I'll cut, and then I will pause and move back up into that space. Also, paper snips work better for this than any other scissors. So if you're not using paper snips and you feel like you're not good at fussy cutting, I want to encourage you to give a pair of paper snips a try, because they are the best for cutting out like this. Okay, so you get that kind of loosely chopped. And we actually have a new punch that cuts similar to this coming out in the holiday catalog. I don't know if it fits this. I think it's actually bigger than this. But that's going to end up going up above our flower here on the card front. So let's get the flower in place. And this is where my Tombow multi-glue comes in. You could absolutely just use a couple of mini glue dots on the bigger parts of this, but it is kind of a smaller die cut. So I'm just getting a little bit of glue, especially on the leaves. That's my biggest area to be able to glue. You brush a tiny bit on the stem. And we'll come over here. It's going to stick on the smile piece. It's going to overlap right down even onto the flower one right here. So right about there. And then the flower piece itself, we're going to use a couple of baby dimensionals for that. So I'm going to put one on each side here, kind of like this. And then I'm using a gem right over the center of the flower, so that'll hide the little white stuff that you can see right now on my flower top. So put it on the flower, and then get myself a nice big gold gem right there. Yay, cute. Okay, fun, fun, fun. I can't wait to see what stamps you guys might have. I know not all of you have this exact stamp set, but I know you will make it say something cute. And make sure you share your finished projects in our card club group so that everybody can see what you did. And used a few mini dimensionals to get this little guy cut out, and then just position it where you think it looks good, kind of on the card front, over the flower a little bit. You've got that sending you a smile because you're awesome. And that is card number 3. Oh, I see Kara is watching. Good to see you, Kara. Okay, let's grab. Ooh, exciting. Getting all of our stuff for card number 4. So let's take this one out and bring my card kit in. For this one, I need a few different ink pads, the little shell stamp. I've got a little sunset and a thinking of you. Okay. Okay, so pull your cute little pieces out. This one has several circles of pre-punched cardstock. This is done with the 2 3/8 circle punch that coordinates with the stamp set that I'm using. This is a really fun way to show off a few different specialty papers. This one is, again, that shimmer paper. This is in the Lost Lagoon. Here's the distressed gold paper. And then a plain Lost Lagoon one. I'm going to stamp on that one. Here's the designer paper that you're going to cut. And here's my envelope. Okay, so let's start with the black stamping because I want to give that a good minute to dry before we go in and color. So I'll ink up my cute little sunset. Here's the piece this is getting stamped on. You're going to stamp it low. So there's a lot of space here, but you want it down low. Just like that. And then add thinking of you. Okay, I want to make sure I know how this stamps. Perfect. Just need perfection one more time. Okay, great. And I'm setting this one aside to dry for a bit. I'll be coloring it in a minute. Okay, let's do some stamping with the Lost Lagoon now. There's this cool little shell stamp, and I'm going to do it twice on the edge of this Lost Lagoon circle. So bump it off to the edge one direction, and then rotate, and just stamp it a second time to kind of join up and create a little circle of shells. And I'm going to add some shells too on my envelope, kind of like that. And I'm going to use this again, so maybe I'll leave it open to do some coloring. Okay, let's come over and do some assembly, and then we'll color last. So here's my card base. It is Pool Party. And this is the paper that I used, although there are several papers that look cute on here. This one's kind of a wheat pattern. And I'm just going to run a couple lines of adhesive. I did it close to this left edge, but not all the way over. And then top to bottom it's centered. And then you'll want to think about spacing these 3 circles so that they all get seen. I glued my gold distressed one down first. And it's not centered, it's a little lower than center, kind of right about here. You should see it close to the edge right there. Next, do your shimmery one. And this one it stays on here so it doesn't go off of the designer paper, but it goes close, both up and to this side, so almost to those 2 edges. And now the other one is the one with the seashells. And if your stamping didn't turn out perfect, like I have a gap right there, so maybe I'll hide it. I know that it'll be hidden if it's right here. So this one is going to go kind of down lower. You still want about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. And then a little in from the edge. So kind of those 3 circles. This piece is going to go right here. So these 3 will show around the edge there. And then the other thing that I can do while we're waiting to dry, I need 10 inches of ribbon, which I'm going to tie around the top of this little piece. Okay, so I think this little guy has had enough time to dry. It's looking good. Let me show you how I did this. Oh, here we go. Again, this is the exact same blender pen that I've been using the whole time. I'm just making sure the tip is clean. I'm tapping in here to get a little bit of the Lost Lagoon, and then I'm lightening it just a little. I don't want the full strength. But for these ocean waves, I'm just going to follow the lines that are already in the image and do strips of color. And so it's getting lighter and lighter because I'm coloring more and more. And that kind of works with what this image looks like. So there's that. We'll go kind of down here. Kind of swoops of color. And then last, we'll do up here. And let those get lighter and lighter. You can leave some white spaces too in the image. Now I'm getting almost all of the Las Laguna. There's just a little left, and I'll come in and color the foam, because you know the foam's the lightest part of an ocean wave. So I put some color on there, but just really light. Okay? So now let's clear that off. All of it off. And I'll go to my other tip too. Well, this one has greenish on it too. That really is the beauty though of the blender pen. You can use it in all different colors. You just clear off all the color in between. And that's what it does. Okay, so on my sunshine, I'm going to want a bit of both the Calypso Coral and Crushed Curry. So I'm going to start with Calypso, but I don't want it quite as dark. This is very bright orangey. So I'm going to do some light orange sunshine here. And I'm using tiny circle motions. And I started at the bottom. That's where I wanted the darkest part to be. And I'm going to let it get lighter as I come up. And I'll even, like I'm stopping a little bit, leaving a little bit of white space. So I'm going to bring in some yellow right there too. Okay, and then let's come over into the rays. I'm just going to do some lines of just sunshine rays, leaving spaces in between for some yellow. Okay. Oh, this is so fun. This really is fun to play with. Let's get all of that clear. Okay, now the rest will be with the Crushed Curry. Even this is quite dark when you first ink it, so get a little bit of it off on your scratch paper. And then go in the spaces and do some sunshine. Okay, and then down where I left some white on the actual sunshine, we'll do some little circular images here too. Fill in with yellow. Now, along the surface of the sun is crazy hot, right? We're going to come in and add even some more yellow close to the base of the sun, all the way around there. And it really is such a bright, cheery image. I love how, I don't know, there's an elegance here with this image that feels like it could truly be a cheerful occasion, like a graduation or a wedding. Or this has an elegance to it that would even be appropriate for a sympathy card. The ocean, I guess, just has that effect. It's a happy place, but it's a thinking place too. Okay, so let's take our ribbon. I'm going across the top here. I'm doing a square knot again. So let's put these two ends upward. See how the right one's on top? I'll let that come through. Now I'm holding it with a finger I don't need. That's my ring finger there. Let's put both of these upward again. This time I'm putting the left one on top and bringing this under. And then we'll pull it tight. That's how you get that really pretty knot. Noah. My throat's being a little bit scratchy. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so trim, trim, right here and right here. Pretty little, and this ribbon is truly beautiful. I was so excited to include a whole roll of this ribbon for you. I hope you feel like Card Club gives you a great value between getting 8 cards with envelopes and products to keep. Putting 4 dimensionals on the 4 corners of this piece. And then bring our pieces together. Here's my envelope, card front, and I want this to be kind of straight. I am putting it to the left of the edge of this designer paper here. And I want it down just a little lower, I think. So right about like that. So you should see some of the gold underneath, about 3/4 of the shell piece. Okay, and now, finishing touch, we need a few of our pretty little gems. I'm going to do gold, kind of right up here, shining in the sun. Whoops, one. That one has a mind of its own, but I'm still getting it on here. And 3. Okay, and there is my card number 4. So let's pull these all in. Here's my number 3, and 2, and 1. I hope you guys are going to love making this set of cards. I really am proud of them. They are so pretty. It's a fun way to show off this set, and I can't wait to see what you might do if you use different stamps too. And, oh, I see Carla popped in. Hi, Carla. And I just want to thank you for being a part of Card Club. I hope you had fun checking out these cards, and I hope you want to be a part of Card Club forever. Talk to you guys again soon. Bye.